sinners, and saints. Dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alan After Dark.
Sinners and saints, bitches, taints, sluts, whores, hookers, hustlers, cocksuckers, buttfuckers. How you doing? I hope you're feeling well and sexy and horny if you want to be. I guess I'm in just another one of my moods that I can't really deal with, so I'm just going to sit back and chat with you guys for a while. I think most of you know that, at least I believe I've talked about it, that I've lost several friends in the last year. They've died, and that void will always be empty. There's no replacing people that you've loved for 20, 30 years. One of my old friends came into happy hour the other night, and I could tell that he was emotional. He's lost the same friends that I've lost. He's been very sick himself. He is a cancer survivor, and he's struggling with his health. And he's always an entertaining person. He's always funny. He's really smart. But this night, he was exceptionally emotional. He is always an expressive, dynamic person. I mean, his character is so larger than life that he's hard to ignore. But this night, he really felt the need, I think, to express appreciation for being alive and the pain that comes with just the simple struggle of living. And I think as gay men, we can appreciate the concept of life in a lot of ways better than most. Now, I guess you might be scratching your head at that, but those of us who are older, who remember the height of the AIDS crisis, when people were dying every week, sometimes every day, from a disease that people blamed gay men for having. And you come to appreciate the value of having good health and life and understanding what loss is, even though it never gets easy, losing anyone. I guess you could say, grateful that he expressed his joy and his sadness the other night about just simply living. I really did appreciate just hearing his words. And I think other people that were at the bar who don't even know him, I mean, it seemed to frighten some when they saw him with tears coming down his face. But I think they listened and they understood that if for nothing else, life is worth fighting for. The people you love are worth fighting for. And it isn't fair when you have governments and politicians and religious leaders who literally openly come after gay people, the entire gay community, as if we are Nazis, as if we are demonic, as if we are the reason that there's so many problems in this country and in the world, when all they have to do is look at themselves in a mirror to realize that they are the problem. It really does piss me off, and I know, guys, I've talked about it a lot, how these religious people, or people who claim to be religious, claim to be Christians or whatever religion, who use it as a weapon or even a status symbol, as if somehow, if there is a God, God is on their side. And some of them act like they could actually tell God what God should do. Well, I got news for you. If there is a God, God ain't taking shit from any of you assholes, that's for sure. Now, before any of you say, oh shit, here goes Alan again down one of these paths. No, we're not going to go down that path tonight. I think I really want to talk about things that will be like a spit in the face to these right-wing religious people. So I think to start, let's take a trip back in time to my first sexual experience. This may shock some of you, but there wasn't always an internet.
What?
Oh my God.
We didn't have social media. We didn't have hookup apps. There were only a few ways for you to actually meet other gay people. And that would be to go to a club, if you knew where they were, or by some luck, meet and know someone who was gay, and you become a Hallmark movie where you've fallen in love at 16, and you don't have sex until you're 18, and then you wind up getting happily moved in together. Remember, marriage wasn't legal for gay people back in the times that I'm describing. But there was, believe it or not, an old type of dating service that was called Buddies, Pals, and Partners. And when I was young, I was reading some gay magazines and, well, of course, sneaking and looking at porn. And I had stumbled upon, in one of the magazines that I read, I stumbled upon this ad about finding a partner, a boyfriend, or someone to hook up with, whatever. And I decided to join. I did. And basically, though, you put an ad in their system and you received matches, and you could read through them and choose which ones you wanted to write back to. Most people didn't provide a phone number at first. You did it really through snail mail, and that's what I did. Anyway, there was a guy that had sent me a letter, a little note saying that he'd like to meet and that he was from the big city when I was still living in the small town, and that he had family that lived in a nearby town, and that we could meet and maybe go out in that town, maybe see a movie. And I did. I went, and remember now, I was a bit, well, not naive, but I had expectations that were probably unrealistic. I had my perceptions of the way a date should be. I met this guy, and let's call him Patrick. We went to the movies in the nearby town. I thought, well, this could be the only gay person in the whole area, so maybe I really need to try to experience all I can with another gay person other than the little things that I'd done, on the side that don't really count. We wound up pulling the car around the back of the theater and making out, and it was my first time actually fully making out, tongues and everything else. And I was totally aroused. I mean, my God, I'm like, what? In my early 20s, I think. I wish I was 17 or 16, but, in the South, in the country, in an area that's homophobic and you're afraid of being exposed, you start out later in life. I guess I could have lied and just said I was 16 or 17, but where's the fun in that? By the way, you know that you always lie about your age when it comes to like getting subscriptions for certain magazines or whatever. We all did, right? You all still do, right? When you try to get access to a porn site, if you're under 18, you just lie, right? Most people do, don't they? Anyway, he asked me, he says, well, why don't you come up to my place? I live in the big city. I'll give you directions and we can hang out at my apartment. And I was really excited about it. I really wanted to have that experience. When I mean experience, I'm talking about sexual. So I agreed. And so one Saturday, I made my usual excuse and said that I was going to meet friends at the movies. And I headed off to the big city. As I'm driving there, I have all these scenarios in my head about how this is going to happen, because I know that we are going to have sex of some kind. And I thought, we'll do it this way, or, we'll start by making out and we'll be on the couch and then we'll go to his bedroom and slowly taking off our clothes. And I guess I was romanticizing it, even though my body was saying, no, let's just get animal. I get there and he had just gotten off work apparently, and we're sitting there and we really don't do anything but have a movie on, and then within seconds we go to his bedroom and we're making out and the clothes are coming off really fast and I'm totally hard and aroused and ready to rock. And now remember, this is my first kind of real experience on a sexual level. So I had images in my mind about how it would work. And then you have the reality of how it works. So I wanted to go down on him right away. I wanted to have that first real experience with a dick. The things before that were looking, touching, and a couple of quick tastes, really. Nothing that was anything but experimentation. So anyway, I go down on him and you realize that, okay, he's been working all day. So he wasn't as fresh down there. It wasn't necessarily the cleanest sweaty smell either. That was something that I did not envision. I didn't think about the taste of sex, the smell of sex. It threw me for a loop and I was a little bit turned off, but I was determined to kind of go through with it. I really wanted to have the full experience. Well, Is anybody really that good at it the first time? I mean, honestly, I was pretty good, I thought. And, I was using my instincts and I was trying to use the knowledge of my own body on him, Patrick. So, anyway, he wanted to go down on me finally. And so we switched places. We did not 69 or anything like that. Before he went down on me, he rolled me over and he was laying on top of me. I'm on my stomach, but he goes for the ears with his tongue. And I had never had that experience before in my life. And holy shit. Talk about hitting an erogenous zone. He sure as hell did. That turned me the fuck on in a way that I would have never imagined. Now, granted, I think 2 days later, I may have had an ear infection, but that's a different story. So he was really getting me excited. And when he goes down on me, I'm really enjoying it and getting into it. But then I realize I let my brain and my mind get involved. It's not just experiencing the moment. It is me thinking about what this means. And I don't know, I guess you could say clam up or whatever. And so I could not seem to get off. I think the main reason is that as he was going down on me, which felt good, he started biting me a little, biting the head of my dick. And I was just like confused. My mind was playing all these tricks on me about why is he doing that? I think we both become exhausted. Neither one of us got off. And it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. And I unfortunately carried that experience with me after that. But I had more knowledge and a little bit more education about the situation to understand that our bodies don't always work the ways that we expect. I think a lot of times we expect a person's body to react the same way ours does. And when you think about like what turns you on, those things may not be a turn on to someone else. And that was just what was happening in this situation. I remember my second experience, which wasn't with Patrick. In fact, that was the last time Patrick and I ever saw each other. Go figure, right? That after that, I began to understand and appreciate just the male body and the experience. And my second time, which was very nice, and we both get off, and it is an outrageously fun experience for me. So I don't regret that first time. I appreciate it for what it taught me. And I know people kind of roll their eyes and it's like, it's not a performance, Alan. It's not something to be taught or educated. And I'm always like, well, why not? Don't we take something from every sexual experience and build on our own methods of pleasure? I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with us learning and enjoying and taking what was good from one experience and applying it to the next one. Why wouldn't we do that? It just seems sensible to me. But I also know, especially as I've gotten older, that sex itself doesn't have to mean penetration, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean orgasm. And we've talked about that many times before. I'm satisfied getting someone else off. I'm sure that we've all had adventures in which only one of the two or one of the 17 get off, or maybe 16 of the 17 get off. Even in porn, I think I mentioned it before, the bottoms in some of the scenes don't get off. Their sole purpose is to get the top off. And that works really well a lot of times, doesn't it? Well, it works for me. Jesus. But yeah, I need to be clear here. I didn't blame Patrick for a bad experience. It's not his fault. It wasn't my fault. I believe that's what you're probably thinking, right? That I was actually judging him for a bad experience, and I'm not. I don't think you should ever do that. And like I was just saying, sex is an experience. It's a moment. It is a connection with someone or more than one. And I think at any level, I don't ever judge it really on whether or not I have an orgasm. Granted, an orgasm feels like a damn good time, but I've had a great time just fooling around with somebody, just being physical without an exchange of fluids. It doesn't have to be that way. But if you're a person who has put that pressure to that level, then yeah, you're probably going to be disappointed quite a few times because it isn't always going to work. And also, Are you the type that if you're blowing somebody and you can't seem to get the other person off, you blame yourself? Well, you should never blame yourself because that's a process too. Understanding what gets another person off. Is there anything wrong with you telling your sexual partner what you like and what you want to do? I think it should be okay. I don't think you should be offended if someone says, hey, that's not really working for me. Could you do this? Would that be so bad? The male ego, though, right? That ego, gosh, it is so fragile. You would think it's thin ice or something. That's kind of sad, isn't it? This whole idea that we sort of have the right to judge somebody based on their sexual prowess. I can reassure everyone and myself that if you're judging someone based on their physical abilities in the sack, somebody's judging you too. I guess I wonder how we become that person who thinks that they can judge on that level. Are any of us the quintessential experts? I mean, I can think of some of my favorite porn stars, but honestly, if you've watched them over their careers, how short or long they are, no pun intended, you've seen them in not so great scenes. Sometimes maybe the chemistry with the other person isn't so great. And it kind of shows through as far as what you're used to seeing them in a quote unquote performance. Even though maybe it's not a performance at all. Maybe it's really them expressing their own physical desires, their kinks, their methods of satisfaction. I mean, you have to wonder, don't you, why we feel like we're always the expert. And we've all had those experiences, haven't we? Where someone does something that is so irritating that you maybe don't say anything, but you try to work the situation around physically to where they'll stop doing it. I mean, like that time I described the guy who was a toe sucker. It did turn me on, but oh my God, I know some of you boys out there, there's no way I'm putting my tongue anywhere near your athlete's feet. I should have said athlete's foot there, but you get the point, right? I think you do. But getting off that high horse and getting onto the dick is the key thing. I guess that is the quintessential core mystery of sex, isn't it? What turns us on? What gets us off? Why do we have so many different flavors of sex? So many different personalities? Obviously, we like different varieties of sex because we do have different personalities. No two people are totally alike. So maybe we should rein in our judgment and just enjoy the moment for what it is. A suck, a fuck, a quickie, a gangbang, a 69, glory hole, a sex club, or whatever. Bang a gong, ride the dong. In a way, just having the experience that I had with Patrick that first time was valuable. It was important. And I'm glad I did it. Despite what I described as disappointment. It was still fun, and I discovered things about my body that I never knew felt that way. That's very important stuff, if you ask me. So what have we learned tonight, based on all my crazy random sex talk? I think we've learned that we should take all the good experiences and carry them with us and utilize them during future sexual encounters. We should respect other people's methods and abilities, but we should also be able to kind of guide them either verbally or physically into a way that makes us feel good too. I think that open communication, physical or verbal, makes for some really good rolls in the hay.
Yeehaw!
Well, here we are again at the very end of another episode of Alan After Dark. I hope you've had as much fun as I have, and I hope you have a great night, a great day, a great weekend, a great week, a great sex, a great drink, a great everything. Remember, take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon.